It's not every day that a gun character enters Genshin Impact. We thought that the bow was the way of the land, but Clorinde has one thing to say to that. Pew pew. Clorinde is our second Bond of Life character. She is an electro duelist as well as a Marochet hunter. I know 90% of you would love for Clorinde to hunt you down, but let's first talk about how she will be shooting her load over all the enemies in Teyvat. She seems to be quite a reliable character as she can deal quick spurts for massive damage and then heal herself on top of it. In addition, she gains more Bond of Life from healing, so her Bond of Life can be maintained relatively easily. Let's check out Clorinde's giant guns and knock these enemies out in a hailstorm of bullets. Clorinde is an electro DPS, of course. Her normal attacks don't do much on their own, so you don't even need to level them as far as talent. Her elemental skill is where all of her multipliers come into play. When she activates her elemental skill, she will enter a stance, and she will fire off bullets with her normal attacks while gaining Bond of Life. And then, when her Bond of Life is maxed, or at about half of her health bar that's filled with the Bond of Life, you'll be able to use her skill to bolt forward and do large amounts of damage. This will also heal her, making her very self-sufficient. Essentially, you want to activate her skill, pew pew pew, and then activate her skill again, and then repeat until her skill is over. She also gains Bond of Life from external healers, so you may be able to dash a lot more. We'll have to see when she releases just how that actually works. Her burst is one of the coolest things I've seen, to be honest, and it also grants her a significant amount of Bond of Life, so you want to use it at the start of your rotation if you're using her at C0. In addition, whenever a party member does a reaction, Clorinde gets an electro damage boost based on her damage, stacking up to 3 times. This is similar to Nuvolet's passive, but much better as any electro reaction counts, rather than unique reactions. And the icing on the cake is, she gets a free 20% crit rate from her second passive. Whenever her Bond of Life changes after she has max Bond of Life, she gets a 10% crit rate boost lasting for 15 seconds and stacking up to 2 times. Very exciting stuff. So, Clorinde immediately appears to be a main DPS who performs similarly to Keqing and Cyno, but also uniquely has her own characteristics. She is more similar to Keqing, as Aggravate is probably one of her best teams. This is because her uptime is about 7.5 seconds for her elemental skill, and this will enable her to do quick swap really well. Because she is self-sufficient with her HP mechanics, she also has good synergy with Farina, and she can even be slotted in without a healer, allowing the team to dish out impressive damage. If you've made it this far, you must be enjoying the video, right? Liking this video will help me be able to make more content for you all, and it will help this channel grow. Please consider subscribing as well. Alright, let's talk about her artifact options to help you better understand how her rotations may work. Her uptime is kind of bad, but definitely still manageable, as the duration is 7.5 seconds for her elemental skill, and the cooldown is 16 seconds. It's not the end of the world, as in quick swap teams, this should be perfectly fine. However, if you utilize the Thundering Fury set, you can easily have full uptime with Clorinde and shorter rotations. If you want to have a seamless time with Clorinde, then I would definitely recommend using this set. She can also use the new Bond of Life set introduced with Arlecchino. In certain cases, this will allow her to dish out the most damage, but the quality of life with the Thundering Fury set is just really good, and that's just really hard to beat. If you lack both of those sets, then you can just run the 4-piece Gladiator set, and that will be very good on her because despite being a gun character, she still is a sword user, so she gets full benefits from that set. You can also use the Echo set, but that is really dependent on your ping, so keep that in mind. Now that we've got the artifacts out of the way, let's talk about her weapons. Clorinde is a sword user and she has access to many weapons. Her signature is of course the best, but if you have the Haran or Mistsplitter, then these weapons are so close that I would not recommend getting her weapon. She can also make use of all of the 5-star swords except for Aquila Favonia and Skyward Blade and maybe Freedom Sword as well. Among the 4-star weapons, she has quite a few options as well. In an Aggravate team, you can even use the craftable Iron Sting. She does better with non-EM weapons that focus more on her attack, so keep that in mind, but she can use stuff like the Black Sword, the Alley Flash, but you really want to be focused on an attack-based weapon or crit scaling, of course. As far as team options, she has quite a few teams, but Aggravate kinda trumps them all. A quick swap gameplay is going to be her go-to, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't work in other teams. Overload is an excellent option, especially if you have C6 Jet Bruce. The one character that you're going to want in either of these teams is Fischl. Fischl enables her to have no energy requirements, and she is just an all-around great sub DPS. There are many teams that she can work in, so think of any teams that Cyno, Raiden, or Fischl work in, and she'll do just fine there. Clorinde's constellations are pretty good. Her C1 will trigger additional coordinated attacks, and this can be a massive increase to her damage, especially in Aggravate teams. Her C2 enhances her first passive, which will actually be increasing the value of damage that you get per stack. In addition, she gets interruption resistance. This is a nice increase, but her C1 offers more damage while her C2 is more so quality of life, and I guess more damage as well. Her C3 increases her skills damage, and her C4 makes her burst into a giant nuke. This may actually alter the way that you do her rotations, as the more bond of life that she has, the more damage her burst will do. Her C5 will increase her burst damage, and then her C6 is similar to Arlecchino's C6 with some perks. She gets a giant crit damage boost and a 10% crit rate boost to boot. In addition, she gets a new effect that is triggered whenever certain conditions are met, dealing an explosive amount of damage. She also gets a massive decrease to the damage taken. All around, this makes her super tanky and just good overall. Clorinde is a fine character, and she will be very fun to use. I don't think she will reach top tier power, but for the first gun character in the game, she certainly has an impact on the roster. She has way more survivability when compared to Arlecchino, because not only can she heal herself multiple times, she can be healed if she's not actually using her elemental skill. The downside is she is locked into her elemental skill when she uses it, and the cooldown can be lengthy. Luckily, the Thundering Fury set does fix these issues. If you're not using the Thundering Fury set, then you can actually just have another sub DPS, or just do a longer setup so that she actually comes onto the field right on time. I will be pulling for her in the upcoming updates, because I've been waiting for a shooter character in this game for quite some time with rapid firing shots. Best of luck for those of you pulling for her, and I hope that you win every 50-50. Still here? Great. Go ahead and like this video, as this really helps me to grow my channel, as well as getting this video out there to more people. I really appreciate all of the support in the recent videos, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Enigma out.